Ukraine and South Korea have agreed to deepen cooperation on security to tackle an apparent strengthening of military ties between Moscow and Pyongyang. Evidence continues to build, including confirmation from Washington that North Korea could soon send troops to fight on the front lines for Russia in its war in Ukraine. South Korea's president warning that such cooperation will not be tolerated. In talks with his Ukrainian counterpart, both leaders agreed that the war is, quote, extending beyond their two countries and becoming internationalized. They have pledged to increase the sharing of intelligence and expertise while holding strategic dialogue. This would include dispatching a Ukrainian envoy to South Korea. Seoul, citing fresh intelligence from its spy agency, says North Korea may send its top military officials to fight for Moscow. NATO on Monday confirming that thousands of North Korean troops have been sent to fight in the war, adding to intelligence from Ukraine, the US and South Korea. Washington estimates some 10,000 troops have been deployed to the Kursk region in Russia. The move could mark the first significant intervention in an international conflict by Pyongyang. With 1.2 million soldiers, North Korea does have one of the world's largest militaries, but most of its troops lack combat experience. The Pentagon warned that there will be no new limits on Ukraine's use of American arms if the North joins Russia's fight. The Kremlin earlier dismissed reports of these deployments, although President Vladimir Putin did not deny that North Korean troops were present in Russia. Meanwhile, North Korea's top diplomat has landed in the far eastern Russian city of Vladivostok for her second trip to the country in 6 weeks. Few details are available, but reports suggest she will meet Russian officials and could discuss the possibility of sending even more North Korean troops to the country. CNN's Lim Yun-suk has more from Seoul.
North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee has arrived in Vladivostok, Russia, and is visiting Moscow on Wednesday, according to its state media. It says the trip is taking place within the framework of a strategic dialogue following an agreement to enhance ties during a leaders' summit meeting in June. However, local reports here say she could be there for talks to send more troops to Russia and see what she can get in return. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol voiced concerns about the deployment during a cabinet meeting on Tuesday. He said the illegal military cooperation between the two countries posed a serious threat to the international community and that everyone should be on alert. Hours later in Seoul, lawmakers who were briefed by the intelligence agency told reporters that some high-ranking military officials and troops from North Korea deployed to Russia might move to the frontline areas.
5위급 군장성을 포함한 일부 인원의 전선 이동 가능성을 열어두고 확인 중에 있다고 합니다. 이런 군사 용어 100여 개를 교육하고 있지만 북한군이 어려워한다는 부문이 있는 상태이고 그래서 소통 문제의 해결이 불투명하다는 예측을 하고 있습니다.
Meanwhile, war veterans in South Korea rallied in different parts of Seoul on Monday, calling on Russia to stop the war in Ukraine and not to allow North Korean soldiers into the country.
러시아를 믿고 경거망동할 수 있다는 우려를 하지 않을 수 없습니다. 이에 우리는 러시아 정부가 북한의 용병을 하루빨리 철수시킴으로써 한러 수교 34년간 이어온 양국 간의 우호 협력이 지속적으로 발전해 나가기를 바랍니다.
After the rally, he went to the Russian embassy to hand over a letter about their concerns. Another group denounced North Korea for its deployment of troops to Russia. South Korea so far provided humanitarian aid and other non-lethal support to Ukraine, but President Yoon has raised the possibility of doing more, like supplying Ukraine with weapons, depending on the degree of military cooperation between North Korea and Russia. Lim Yun-suk, CNA, Seoul.
And for more, Dasha Chernyshova joins us live from Moscow. Dasha, as we heard that from our Seoul correspondent, this is Choi Sun-hee's second trip in 6 weeks. Who will she meet and what would that mean?
Well, indeed, we have seen the flurry of diplomatic exchange between the officials, both from Russia and the DPRK over the course of the past month. So that is said in Moscow to be part of the strategic partnership agreement that has been struck between the two sides earlier this year, and that has been just ratified here in the Russian capital. Now, we understand that the Russian President Vladimir Putin is not going to hold any sort of bilateral meeting with the North Korean diplomats. We know that she has arrived to Russia's Vladivostok with her entire delegation. From there, the sources within the diplomatic missions in Russia, media, are saying that she will be traveling to the Russian capital, and the visit will last for about 2 to 3 days. But keep in mind that there is a lot on the agenda for these two sides, especially after this arrangement has come into force. Interestingly, we are hearing from the Russian side that all the concerns in the West are baseless, and Russia's cooperation with the DPRK is entirely within the framework of the international law.
Dasha, meanwhile, conflict continues on the ground, Russia making more advances in East Ukraine. What can you tell us on that front?
That's right. And this is actually one of the issues that the Russian president has raised when he was talking about the allegations that North Korea could be helping Moscow with its effort in Ukraine. Russian side has been saying for months now that they have had the upper hand when it comes to the fighting in the eastern Ukraine. And the understanding here in Russia is that it is well capable of dealing with it on its own. So we have heard from the Russian Ministry of Defense about the capture of 3 more villages in the Donbas region. We understand from the Russian president that they have managed to encircle the grouping of the Ukrainian troops that attacked the territory of Russia's Kursk region. There are 2,000 of them, and there have been reports from the Russian Foreign Ministry that those are the mercenaries from some Western countries, including the United States, Canada, and Poland, that have been taking part. So in Russia, there is a very strong understanding that it is capable of dealing with this issue in Ukraine on its own. However, last week, the Russian president did not deny that there could be some sort of involvement on the side of North Korea. The Russian president, speaking in Kazan at the BRICS forum, said very clearly that there is Article 4 of the Strategic Partnership Agreement between the two sides, and Russia and the DPRK will be using this clause as they see fit. But at the same time, Moscow has always been saying, if you have a real proof, then you have to prove it. So far, Moscow has said no real proof has ever been presented. So therefore, the understanding in Moscow is very clear. It is advancing on all directions, on all fronts, and it is ready to finish the cleanup operation, as they call it, in the Russian Kursk region, where the Ukrainian soldiers attacked the region and took control over the territory.
Thanks. Dasha Chernyshova there, reporting live from Moscow on advances in Ukraine as North Korea and Russia draw ever closer together.